All right, fight fans, it's time for Mr. Matchroom himself, Hearn Unleashed with Mr. Eddie Hearn. What's up, Eddie?
You guys are starting to get me into trouble.
Why do you say that? How so?
Because you ask me questions, right, which I have to answer, right, because that's my job. And every time I do this show, I get messages from people saying, "Oh, I saw your comments on the boxing show about this and that," and I'm thinking, they said, like, someone said to me, I'm not going to mention any names. So I'm like, why are you commenting on that? And I'm like, because I got asked about it.
Wow.
Like,
so from now on, we'll just ask you about golf. No more boxing.
Yeah, no more about golf.
Well, first off, congratulations on a great show this past weekend. Derek Chisora held a fight against Pulev. Eddie, as a promoter,
you congratulating him. It was Derek Chisora.
Hold on,
the line.
Derek,
can I just act right. Can I just take this opportunity to say thank you, Act?
No, listen,
I'm a little bit sore. I'm still a little bit sore. But...
No, look, Eddie puts on the show. There has to be some credit given.
Yeah,
there,
right.
Right?
Give me some
but
credit.
listen, can I just say that I have a newfound respect for Derek Chisora? Seriously, like, I wasn't one of those guys that said he should retire, but I thought it in my head. So now I think again, and now I say I can't wait to see him fight again.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a battle. Like, it wasn't pretty at times, but it was a grueling war of attrition, and it's very difficult to beat Derek Chisora in a war of attrition. You know,
Wow.
People talk about him retiring, and I get that. You know, look, he suffered a lot of defeats. He's at the back end of his career, but then he comes out and he beats a top 15, maybe top 10 heavyweight in Pulev. So it's hard.
Wait,
it's
top
hard
16 maybe. Top 16.
Well, no, but you know,
not 10. Not 10.
All right, well, definitely top 15. I mean, look, the guy's had 2 defeats in his resume. Once going 11 rounds with Anthony Joshua, and the next one, you know, against Vladimir Klitschko. He can fight. You know, he's a very good heavyweight. And,
Definitely.
You know, Chisora is just a bit of an enigma. You know, we've got to be a little bit careful with the matching, and, you know, because he talks about a Wilder fight. You know, he can beat Wilder. He can beat Wilder, but he can also get cleaned out in spectacular style. But so can everybody. You know, so it's a dangerous fight for someone that's coming to the back end of his career. And sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful with the matchmaking. I still prefer fights like Ariola, like Konaki, like Dillian White 3. You know, they've had 2.
You know what, Eddie, what scares me about this is that we're enjoying him so much now, and we're giving him praise, and he deserves it. But 10, 15 years from now, sometimes fighters become different when they have careers like that. So it's just scary to say, hey, he's 38 years old and he should continue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there is an argument that it would be a good time to bow out after the Pulev fight, you know, because it's going to be difficult for him to bow out on a win like that, because he just wants the biggest fights all the time. So, and he's not going to win all the time. It's also difficult to say to a man who's not showing any signs of regression in the fight, in the camp, in any form of life, because he's got a lot of people around him that care about him a lot, and who would advise him to step away, you know? So we've got to monitor it carefully. You're exactly right what you say, Barack. You know, we can't just say he's fine now and, you know, he's sharper than ever and his times are better than ever. And we've got to look at the damage that, you know, fighters take in their career. And again, it was another grueling fight. It wasn't like it was just a 1 or 2 round knockout where you can say, okay, well, it didn't take any damage in that fight. It was another very tough fight.
No, it's true, but it's hard to not want to watch him again. So it's a tough space to be in, especially, you know, somebody like yourself that have become not only his promoter, but a friend. Shifting gears, I want to touch on something just so you can clear something up, because just like you said, you're getting calls and stuff. Sometimes random fight fans DM me asking me questions about the zone like I have answers, right? So we know that right now, as of now, that AJ and Usyk 2 rematch will not be on the zone. We don't have the rights to that fight, but he just signed a long-term deal. So clear it up for the fans, because now they're worried, saying, oh, well, are we ever going to be able to see fights of AJ on the zone?
Yeah.
The floor is yours, Eddie.
AJ signed a long-term broadcast deal with DAZN, but this fight was always outside of that agreement because the rights aren't owned by AJ or Matchroom. The rights are owned by the host, the site host, if you like, which is Saudi. So we knew that they would go out and they would talk to everybody and ultimately look for the biggest and best deal for them. I don't believe that fight is announced yet on another broadcaster, but I'm just hearing the rumours like you. We're not involved with that process, and it sounds like it won't be on DAZN. Of course, his future fights will be, but this was always part of the deal that, you know, this fight was outside of the long-term agreement that AJ was signing with DAZN. So we'll wait for an official announcement. It's not long to go now till the fight, but it sounds like that fight will be with another broadcaster.
Don't you think the other broadcasters that are making offers for the fight, it's more of a spiteful thing when AJ's not going to be available anymore?
Yes, but that's just the business. That's the business act, isn't it? I mean, like, we work in a spiteful business that people make decisions not based on business logic, based on ego and bravado and blocking and stopping. And, you know, unfortunately, that's why you always have to sleep with one eye open. It's the game we're in. But you're right, AJ's long-term future is with DAZN. So whichever broadcaster gets this fight will not have future fights of Anthony Joshua's. They will be with DAZN.
Yeah, well, the boxing snitches are saying it's Sky Sports. But anyway, I read something that WBA is forcing Dimitri Bivol to fight Zurdo Ramirez. Now, does that mean, sometimes that means something, sometimes that means nothing. Does it mean to you that you might not get that opportunity for Joshua Buatsi to fight Bivol?
Well, in all those situations, we will have a right to request an alternative fight, an exemption, which we will file with the WBA. No problem making the Zurdo Ramirez fight, but we had already made plans for the Joshua Buatsi fight in October. So we'll speak to the WBA. Golden Boy will obviously put their argument forward, and whatever way the decision pans out, we will have to accept. There's a few decisions waiting and pending with the WBA. Of course, one is the Lee Wood, Leo Santa Cruz purse bid split, which we're waiting on. And now Leo Santa Cruz will request a unification with Ray Vargas, which was quite a sensational victory for him at the weekend. We didn't expect that at all. So, you know, on all these situations, basically, you know, champions have ideas, and then governing bodies and mandatories get in the way of those ideas. Then you all have to put your reasons forward and work out a solution. And that's one of the situations at the moment with Zurdo and Dimitri Bivol. No problem making that fight. We would like to do another fight first. And I guess if we're not allowed, we're not allowed. Well,
I guess it doesn't make sense asking you, but do you think that Joshua Buatsi is a tougher fight than Zurdo? Or what?
I think it's very close. I mean, look, I think Zurdo is a very good fighter. I don't think Zurdo has really beaten elite light heavyweight opposition, in all honesty. But you may argue that Joshua Buatsi hasn't either. I think their resumes are quite similar at light heavyweight, to be honest with you. But they're both great fights. I mean, if we did get the Bivol fight approved with Buatsi, the winner would have to fight Zurdo anyway. And then obviously there's the Canelo Alvarez fight that's waiting in the wings. So there's a bit of a logjam. And I'm sure it'll all play out.
Yeah, look, as far as Joshua Buatsi, I know he has supreme confidence in himself, so he wants the big fights. You saw that fight for him before the Canelo fight. Bivol, there was always talks about that. We knew that Bivol was a very good fighter. After the win against Canelo, a lot of people realized that he is really, really good. Now, that matchup against Buatsi, after watching the Canelo fight, do you still want that fight for Joshua Buatsi?
Yeah, because Buatsi he's beaten everybody there really is to beat. It's time for him to challenge for a world title. Look, everyone's realised that Bivol is probably the best light heavyweight in the world. It's a toss-up between him and Beterbiev. You know, I mean, they're two great champions, but Bivol's finally getting the respect that he deserves, but also the recognition that people have given him for many years. He hasn't had the opportunity to prove that. Now he has against Canelo Alvarez, whether it's Zurdo, whether it's Buatsi, they would all start as massive underdogs in that fight against Bivol because he just beat Canelo Alvarez. So, you know, we've got the A side there in Dimitri Bivol, and he's ready to fight all comers.
It must be a lot of pressure on you because you know that Canelo Alvarez wants the Bivol rematch. He told us there's only 2 fights on his agenda, Triple G, Bivol, no matter what. So you have to maneuver, think about that, and later on plan ahead. But then you still have to make other fights for Bivol.
For sure.
There's a chance that he might lose.
I mean, the fact is that to fight Canelo Alvarez, Bivol might have to get through Buatsi and Zurdo to get the Canelo fight, or just one or two, I don't know, or Zurdo then Boatsic. So that fight's not a definite because he can't just wait till May. It's impossible. So there's always risk in those fights. But, you know, hopefully Canelo Alvarez and Triple G have a tremendous fight in September. And then if Canelo wins, he'll go forward and look for that rematch. But Bivol's going to be fighting too. And also, don't forget, Bivol wants the Beterbiev fight.
Exactly.
I would imagine that. I would imagine that if Zerda was to beat Bivol, that Canelo would still want that rematch with Bivol anyway.
Yeah, it's not really. It's pride. It's pride. It's, you know, it's setting the record straight. So, but listen, then a Zerdo fight would be a big fight, you know, as well for Canelo perhaps. But it's really not. It's not necessarily just about the titles for Canelo now. It's about revenging that defeat. Yeah,
I say go back and revenge if you can beat Bivol, and then get away from 175 because that's not your division. You're just proving that you're great. Now, listen, I want to talk about your favorite co-promoter, Jake Paul. He was supposed to fight your cousin, you know, Tommy Fury, but now he's fighting Rahman. What do you think? Do you think this is what? Yes, well, we're having a press conference today. I don't know. Well,
yeah, but didn't you see the reports yesterday?
No, I sure didn't. What's up?
What happened? Fill us in.
He said that Hasim Rahman is trying to renegotiate the contract and the fight might not go ahead.
Oh my God, I didn't see that.
So
no, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I've kind of lost track of it all. I just read something on Twitter where he was having a go at me about something. I don't know. But listen, I like the fight. Like,
you think it's a tougher fight than Tommy Fury?
Possibly because of size. I mean, look, Hasim Rahman just got knocked out by Tommy Morrison's son, I think. Yeah. So look, let's just put it into perspective to give Jake Paul the credit. At this stage in Jake Paul's career, this is an impressive fight to take.
Absolutely.
Him or Tommy Fury. So I'll give him the respect for that. And I think there is a bit of Jake Paul that wants to prove people wrong. Now that can be dangerous because you could just think that you're better than you are, really. Or maybe you've got the ability that you want to prove to people that you are a real fighter. So respect on any level. I think it will certainly be an interesting fight if it goes ahead. And, you know, I still think he's good for the game.
Has the ship sailed in regards to Katie Taylor fighting a rematch with Amanda Serrano? Is that
at the moment? Forever? I hope not, because it's the biggest fight in women's boxing. You know, and no disrespect to Amanda Serrano, but she should be actively seeking that rematch. Like, if you lose a split in one of the greatest fights of all time, you'd like to think that you'd chase the rematch. But she's really not chasing a rematch. But look, let her do her thing on August 6th. Katie will have another fight in probably October. And then hopefully,
you have any names for
her? You know, we look at Chris Cyborg, Holly Holm. We may end up doing Jessica McCaskill against Chantel Cameron for undisputed. But certainly either of those, you know, the winner for sure. But either of those are in the mix. You know, is there a super featherweight that could come up? You know, see what happens with Baumgartner and Maya. You've got Choi.
Speaking of that, we spoke to Michaela Mayer, who's fighting Baumgartner, and she wants all the smoke at 135 with Katie Taylor. She'll fight Amanda.
She's got to beat Baumgartner first.
Right, no doubt about that. How does that in the future? Michaela Mayer and Katie Taylor, is that a fight you pursue if she?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think after Alicia knocks out Michaela Mayer, she can definitely move up to 135 and chase a shot with Katie Taylor. I think we've all realised, haven't we? One thing you haven't got to worry about with Katie Taylor is her accepting challenges. Right. So whether it's Baumgartner, whether it's Maya, whether it's Choi, whether it's Cameron, whether it's McCaskill, whether it's like this, just the answer is yes.
Right. So women's boxing is on fire. That's all.
Absolutely.
No doubt about that. Well, listen, we're looking forward to one fight I want to get your opinion on is Ryan Garcia, who's fighting a crafty fighter in Fortuna, but just had lost to Jojo Diaz. We spent some time with him in camp recently. He looks phenomenal sparring and really feels like he can beat Gervonta Davis. If he's impressive in this fight, Eddie, do you think it makes sense for boxing to make that fight, Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia?
Massive fight. Two different fan bases, just a huge fight. You know, I haven't seen a lot of Fortuna, but if he's the same fighter he has been, I think it's going to be a very tough night's work for Ryan Garcia. I don't think. Listen, and I'm only watching Ryan Garcia in the gym, like a lot of fans are. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure this fight plays out as easily as people think it's going to play out on Saturday, which is great news. Right. So make sure you tune into DAZN to watch it, because I do think it's. So
you would be impressed if Ryan scores a big knockout in that fight.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Well, I think he's a little too big for Tuna. But one more last thing, Eddie. Are there any Eddie exclusives, or are you just going to give your exclusive to a random guy at the supermarket like you do? Because you just throw exclusives away anytime. But when you come on the DAZN boxing show, you don't have nothing for us.
I've got a massive exclusive for you.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
But I can't tell you.
What?
All right. No. That's not a problem.
So you don't have it for us?
Can you break it here, though? You can break it any day you want. Can you break it here when it's ready?
Yes, I will.
Do you promise? Can we hold you to that?
I promise.
Yeah.
I promise.
Right.
Speak to the guys. Speak to Joseph Hackney. Speak to Dan at my office, and I will break it with you guys.
Right.
But if I tell you, it's going to fall apart. So.
No, I'm with that. I respect that.
Okay.
Thank you, Eddie.
All right. Well, there you have it, fight fans. Eddie is going to give us an exclusive soon on this show. Thanks, Eddie. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Take care.